what is it called? Why am I losing this word? To use those holographic. Why can't I remember the word holographic? Hello, my friends. Welcome to another video. Today we are going to talk about thermal printing. I had a couple of different questions in the comments across a few different videos about how I use my Munbyn printer for my small crochet business, so I thought I would do a video about all of that. If that's not something you're interested in, you can check out the timestamps below. I'm going to go through really quickly an overview of thermal printing, then I'm going to talk about ways that you can use it in your small business as well as your personal life, because I use it all the time. And then I'm going to go into how to design the actual labels or stickers that you want to create. I'm going to show you this week's makes, and then we're going to do a yarn haul. I received some yarn that I have not yet seen in person, so I'm super excited to open that up and check it out. So again, if you're not into the whole thermal printing thing, you can skip ahead and check that out if you're interested. All right, let's talk about thermal printing. Now, in today's video, I am going to be specifically talking about the Munbyn printer. I have the 941B model. That is the one I have experience with, so that's what I'm going to refer to. I am not sponsored in any way, although I do have a little sidebar story in a minute about that. So not affiliated with Munbyn. It's just the one that I happen to want to buy and the one that I use. So that's what I can speak to. But I think anything that I talk about is pretty much going to go for any type of thermal printer out there, at least in these small sizes. So what makes thermal printing different is that it uses heat sensitive materials to create the design. So the printer itself doesn't have any ink inside of it. It's heating up when it's putting the design on the paper, and since the paper is heat sensitive, it changes color, and that's essentially what you get. 9 times out of 10, 9.999 times out of 10 probably, you are going to only have a design that is black on a thermal printed material. Now, I do know that Munbyn has come out with a 2-color one. I don't know how that works. So we're just gonna be talking about the standard, which is essentially looks like black ink. Back to my little sidebar story. So I bought my thermal printer a while back on Amazon. I'll link everything I talk about today down below in a document in case you're interested. But when I knew I was going to be making this video and I had those couple of questions about the printer, I decided to be bold and brave, which is not something I usually do in this kind of thing. And I reached out to Munbyn because I wasn't sure how people end up with like, you know, Munbyn gave me a discount code for you, because I thought if I can get like a nice discount code and someone wants to buy from them, then go for it. You know, if you can get it cheaper, all for it. So I reached out to them and they asked me for all of my information, like my YouTube channel and whatever. And I gave them all of that. And they asked, it was a weird question. It was like, what printer are you interested in or something? And I put on there, you know, I have the 941B or whatever, but I'm interested to hear more about your 2-color one that's coming, because at the time it was, you know, hadn't been released yet. So I thought that was just like, I don't know why they were asking it, but but I filled it in and sent it back to them. And it was kind of funny because they sent back to me like, you know, while we appreciate you wanting to share Munbyn, blah, blah, you know, we've given you a discount code below, but we can't send you a printer. I was like, I wasn't asking you to send me a printer. I didn't want one. I have one. I don't need a second one. But I guess they thought I was trying to get, you know, them to send me one, because I know other like bigger channels have gotten free ones and whatever. That's not what I was going for. They did send me a discount code, but the discount code was only for the one that was coming out with the 2 colors, and it was 5%. And I checked really quickly and it's just cheaper on Amazon. So I'll link the code down below just in case if you do want it. But I mean, even with the discount, it was cheaper on Amazon. So I would just recommend getting it on Amazon. Anyway, so I am, you know, proud of myself for trying that and reaching out. It's just not something that I do. But I want to try to get more into doing that, especially in this space. You know, I think you guys can relate. But anyway, that was my little side story. Anyway, wherever you get it, it doesn't really matter. Do what's best for you. When it comes to whatever label or sticker or paper that you're using in the thermal printer, I don't think that matters too much either as far as where you get it. I have both Munbyn specific branded stickers and labels, and I have generic ones that I've bought off of Amazon, and I don't really see any difference other than maybe the quality of the actual label. I will say Munbyn labels are a little thicker. If you're shipping something and you want a sticker to close your box, I would suggest going with theirs versus a generic because the quality is just thicker. Let me see if I can show you that. So two different shapes, but this is a generic Amazon label, and you can see how bendy and thin that is versus this is a Munbyn label. And while it does bend, it's just, and I don't know if I don't know if the camera picks it up, but this is just a much thinner material than this is. So if I was using it for something where I was, hoping that it was going to seal a box or something that was going to be handled, I would probably lean towards using the Munbyn version. But for something where it's just going to be decoration more than anything, I don't think it matters. And I believe when I originally purchased it, it came with a free roll of labels, or these were on a severe discount. These are just kind of a watercolor looking label. I don't use these very much. Just because the colors are a little more faint than I like, and I'm more into using like the glitzy colors and the, I get a little bougie with my iridescence. I just have to have it. So, but then I decided to go ahead and make some stickers. I tested things out with this, and I'm going to show you some examples in just a few minutes when we get into the design piece. All right, let's talk about the ways that I use the thermal printed labels in my small business and actually in my home life too. I think I already mentioned that. I use this printer all the time, way more than I expected to actually. So the first main way that I use it, and the reason I bought it was for the shipping labels. I just really loved the look of it, and that's what I wanted for my packaging. But it also saves time. And to me, there really isn't much difference in cost. That sellotape can get pretty expensive, and you've got to oftentimes use, 2 or 3 runs of it to be able to cover the label completely so it's protected from elements and things like that versus the cost of a label. So I just did a real quick check on Amazon, and I bought a roll of 500 of the 4x6 mailing labels, and it's $17.59, so roughly 4 cents a label. So to me, it's well worth it. It looks so much nicer and more professional in my mind. And for 4 cents, you can include that in your pricing, when you're selling something. So that is the biggest reason that I purchased this printer. I also decided to start using the Munbyn for stickers that I used in my packaging at first. So when I put my tissue paper in the box and wrap it over, I use a little sticker that says, "Thank you for supporting my small business" on there. And that's in that iridized silver holographic, iridized holographic. This holographic silver label, and it'll say, "Thank you for supporting my small business." And then I also created a sticker that I use to put the care card and thank you card on the box so that when they open it, it's stuck to the inside lid of the box. And I use that primarily for Etsy orders because the reviews are so important. So that just says, if our magic didn't earn 5 stars, please reach out, let us know so we can help. And that kind of, is requesting that the customer please go ahead and put in a review, as well as please make sure it's 5 stars. So I started using the stickers in that way as well. I also ended up using them for just general labeling around my house. I recently reorganized my safety eyes, and I went into Canva and got the image of the type of eye that I was going to be putting in the drawer and using that to create a label so that all of my eyes are quickly, identifiable, and I can just go in and grab what I need when I need it. And I haven't done it yet, but I am planning to use those holographic labels to label my workstation once I figure out what's going in what drawer. I've used it to label other things around the house, and it's something that's just really handy to have. All right, let's talk about how to design these labels. There are a couple of different ways you can do this depending on your preferences. I find that people are in one of 2 camps when it comes to using the phone for apps and things like that. You're either camp, I do what I gotta do on my phone, but I'd much rather use the computer, or you're camp, I wanna do everything on my phone and avoid having to go into the computer. I am of the first camp where I would much rather do something in the computer than on my phone, but I'm going to show you both ways, and I'll show you the differences between using the app versus using the computer version. So let's jump into the computer real quick so I can show you those. So for the Munbyn printer specifically, you go to editor.munbyn.com. If you're using a different printer, then obviously check what they recommend. And when you get in here, you can either sign up for an account, have a place to save and things like that, or you can just click Get Started for free, which is what we're going to do for this sake. We're going to click Create Label. You can pick the printer that you have. Mine is the 941B, so I'm going to choose that. Let's see if that's the right one. Nope, here, 941B. And then you can tell it, you know, if there's a specific size, what color of label you have, what shape you have. I'm going to go ahead and click square because that just narrows things down. This is the rainbow square that I showed you a little bit ago that we'll go ahead and use for this demonstration. To be honest, I don't think the colors matter whatsoever. I have done just plain white and then printed on something like this or something like this, and it hasn't made a difference, except for the fact that you can visually see what your design looks like on the screen. So if it's a black and white thing and you know what you're putting, to me, it doesn't really matter. And when you get in here, you can see the labels presented. You can zoom in to make it bigger, smaller. And then you can see you have all different options over here on the left-hand side. So you've got text, you can upload your own images, you can add different elements and shapes and things like that. To keep things simple today, we're just going to put some graphics on here as well as, you know, some text. So earlier what I was playing with so I could prepare for this demo was to do a little something that I should be doing more often, and that's asking people to like the video and subscribe. So what I did to get this is I searched like, and then that brought up this thumbs up little kind of illustration here. So I placed that here. Then we can go over to text and we can grab just any of these different fonts that are here, and we can type like, and let's add one at the bottom that says subscribe. Maybe we want to make this bigger. Maybe we want to scoot this down a little bit. Actually, there. So you can see it's pretty quick and easy to whip up a label. Now your options from here are you can download it as a PDF, you can print it, you can save it if you're logged in. If you click print, it's going to just let you know that it requires having a driver and all of that good stuff. I'm going to click cancel because my printer is off at the moment, but this is the window that you would get. So you would just see this preview. You would make sure this is the correct printer in this window. And then if you wanted to print like 40 of these, you could put in the quantity you want, and then you would just click print. I like their software a lot better on the computer than I do on the phone. We're going to jump into the phone really quickly so I can show you the differences between using what we just did on their website versus the app on the phone. All right, so when you come into the printer, you have your saved items over here, and then it always gives you some idea options, but at the bottom, we're just going to click create. You come over to this new label screen, and what you can do is you can see on the side here, you've got all of these different sizes, so 2x2, things like that. And then what you can do is you can click filter. So if you're looking for a specific shape, I'm going to reset everything so you can kind of see what comes up here. So if I click 2x2 and then I click filter and I hit square, we should see the similar selection that we had there. So we have that rainbow square label that we had on our website version. And then here you can see at the bottom, you have a lot of those same icons. As you can see, these are a little different than what we had. Some are the same. You've got text. On the other one, graphical was shape. On this one, we've got icon or illustration versus it was element in the online version. And this confused me a little bit. Icon is essentially what we are looking for here. And then if we click search, I can say like, just like I searched, oops. I can say like, just like I searched on the website, and that's giving me this. So that is not the same thing that I had. And that's because what I actually need is not an icon, but an illustration. So You can see I've already played with this, but basically if you search like, you're going to get that same illustration that we had on the website versions. So if I go ahead and click back on composition, then I can get to my text. And then this is the other thing that kind of annoys me here. So in my text, if I click on font, they all say Munbyn. And I think the number of them might be limited. I didn't count or anything, but they all say Munbyn. And to me, I liked seeing the other letters and things in the font to be able to choose what I wanted. But essentially you're doing the same thing, and then it would be the same kind of thing where you would click print. The other way you can design your labels and stickers is by using Canva, and that's probably what I use the most. Just because I use Canva so much, I feel like it's faster for me. But the actual online version of the Munbyn software is pretty similar, so either way, if you don't have Canva and you like the graphics and things in the Munbyn better, then you can use that. You know, you pick what works best for you, but let's jump into Canva so I can show you how I do that in Canva. All right, so in Canva, I just clicked new and we are on the create a design. I like to just jump into custom size. And then I always change this to inches. And in this example, we were printing on a 2x2 square. So I'm just gonna say 2x2 and then create a design. And now we've got our 2x2 canvas here and we can go in and add anything. Let's see what Canva has for the thumbs up. So we don't want to add an animated graphic because that's not going to really be successful. But let's go ahead and put this thumbs up here. And then maybe we can put this over here. Now, anything that you're going to add on here that's in color is not going to obviously come out in color. So what you want to keep in mind is if you're using a graphic that's color, it'll come out in black. I like to actually change it into black here in Canva by clicking the color up top and changing it to the color I want, because it just gives me a better idea of what my final outcome is going to look like. Let's go over to text, but you don't have to do that. It'll still come out. It'll just come out in black. So let's go over to text, and just like we normally would in Canva, we can add some text and that's way too giant. Subscribe. And then we've got our label here. Now I would take a lot more time to make this look better. This is just for sake of showing you guys what I do. Really quickly, I want to interject the different file types, because this is something that I did a lot of trial and error with. Whenever I want to print something on my Munbyn, I try to use the PDF output of anything, because it seems like the printer just does a better job quality-wise and everything with a PDF. And what's cool about a PDF is if I was in Canva and I decided that I wanted to print different stickers for different things. So, you know, maybe I want to do this like sticker. And let's change it to black because I like to see it. So in this example, I have two stickers or labels that I've created here. Now, if I wanted to print these for something, let's say one goes on the front of something and one goes on the back, and I want to get this over to my printer, I find that the most successful way of doing that is exporting as a PDF, whether it's from any other software or Canva, because exporting as a PDF, the printer seems to just function better with that. And then also what ends up happening is it keeps it in that order. So for example, if I want to print 20 of these two stickers, it's going to print sticker number 1, then sticker number 2, then sticker number 1, then sticker number 2, 20 times. So that then I can kind of mass manufacture whatever I'm doing versus printing 20 of sticker 1, 20 of sticker 2. And if you send it over individually, that's what's going to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and click share, download, and I'm going to go PDF print, pages 1 and 2, and click download. And now let's go ahead and open this up, and you can see it's 2 pages essentially in a PDF. The one thing that I do like to use my phone for is the actual printing, because I can walk over to the printer, stand there with it, make sure everything's going okay. And I find it just a little easier. So I'm going to pop my phone open. I'm going to go to Canva, and this square label is going to pop up as my more recents. And this is what I would normally do. So I've got my sample label here. I'm going to go ahead and click share, download. We're going to do PDF print. And what happens with this, and I think I did show this in my other video, is it will ask you what you want to open with. And I'm going to click on Munbyn. So that's going to open, and you can see I have 2 pages here. And if you look, the size on the screen is pretty large because it's all white. So if I click review and print, it's going to ask me, what size is this label supposed to be? And then I have to come in here and remind it that I wanted it on a 2x2. And now we've got both of our stickers here. Let's walk over to the printer and we'll see how this prints out. All right, so I'm going to be using these Munbyn labels that I got off of Amazon, and they just come on a roll like this. And what we're going to do is go ahead and put that on this stand, which I think is also Munbyn brand. I'll link everything below. So you just basically feed that through the roll, and it just sets into some divots so the roll can move freely. Next, we're going to actually want to feed that label into the printer. So I had mine using smaller labels before, so we'll just pull these apart and get this to feed in. You just want to adjust it so that it fits whatever label you're using and that it can still slide smoothly. So one thing that I learned that's, I guess I would say a good tip, is that if you do not want to waste a label, load your printer while it's off. When it turns back on, it just keeps it straight. But if you load the printer while it's on, it's going to feed a label. So I'll show you that real quick. So I'm going to turn the printer on. When I've added this label and I bring it all the way up to the front and I close it, it spits out a label. I'm going to go ahead and open it back up. I'm going to turn the printer off this time and go ahead and bring this to the front. And it may not be such a big deal depending on what you're working on if you want to really get it super square, but for me, like some of these labels, like the 4x6, cost a lot, so I don't want to waste one every time I load it. So now the printer's loaded. If I turn it on, it doesn't spit that label out. All right, so now we're over at the printer, and I can just click print as is and it'll print one of each of these, or I can click on settings and say maybe that I want 2 of them and go ahead and click print. We've got our stickers. And that's it. It's pretty simple. There's not a heck of a lot to it. You're only printing in one color. So I find that I like that about it. It takes away any of that analysis paralysis. It's definitely one of the purchases that I'm most glad I made early on. Oh, and I don't think I mentioned, you can get some of these for as little as like 50 bucks. I think what happens is it depends on how the connectivity works. So if it's a hard plugged item into your computer, those are a little less expensive than the Bluetooth ones where you can use the app, you know, or print from anywhere in your house or that sort of thing. So, you know, whatever fits in your budget. Like I said, I'll link the one that I have down below in case anyone's interested, but you can just go to the Munbyn store on Amazon and peruse through the different features of each one and find what's right for you, or on their website, obviously. All right, let's get into this week's makes. This week, I have a lot of new patterns. Well, I don't know if it's a lot, but it's several that I hadn't tried before, so I was pretty excited about that. But first, we'll start with one I've made before because I love it dearly, and I intended to make 2, but I did not. I'm referring to the Frogdrick pattern by Channels Crochet. Is it Channels or Chanel's? I'm not sure how to say that, but I have made this in the past before a couple of times, and it sells every single time. This guy is a super cutie patootie, and I did intend on making 2. He is made 100% Naughty Pony, but what ended up happening is I lost yarn chicken. So I have the arms, eyes, and feet, and partial body of a second one, but we didn't quite make it. So I don't know how I missed ordering more green when I ordered last, but yeah, anyway. So he's got his little mushroom bag, and he's just super cute. I used a 5.5mm hook. This is yarn under. I'm trying to get better at making sure I share all of that. Again, all Naughty Pony yarn. And these, I want to say, are 12/14 14 millimeter eyes. It's whatever the pattern says. But this is an awesome pattern. It works up really quickly. I do put 100 grams of weighted pellets in him, and people just love him. At every market I say that like I've done a bunch. I've done 2. At both of my markets, people loved him and people purchased him right away. And while I was still very much in a toadstool area groove for my table, I took a quick pause because I was gifted a pattern by Lindley from Crochet Creations by Lindley of her lovebirds. And I wanted to go ahead and make that so that I could share that with you guys. All right, this is the lovebirds. Now I made these with Bernat blanket in the speckled colors. And they do have a magnet in their beak so that they smooch. Now she uses worsted weight yarn and recommends worsted weight yarn for the beaks because I think a few different reasons. It sizes them a little bit more appropriately, as well as it allows for the magnets to connect a little bit easier. But I just used an Amazon chenille that I had so that it was a lighter weight than the blanket yarn, and it worked pretty well as well. So this is our little gal here. I will say I tried to embroider the eyes like 10 times. The embroidery of her eyes on hers looks so good, and I just could not replicate that. So I ended up just cutting out little closed eyelashes, and it's kind of, you know, I mean, it's cute. You could use safety eyes too. She has the example in her pattern, and this is our little dude, and he's got eyes cut out of felt as well. But yeah, just a super cute pattern. And I think it was really easy. The pattern was great, really well written. At first, when I started to do the little tail detail here, which all you sew on for this is the wings and the beak. But when I started to surface crochet the tail detail, I questioned myself. I think that's more me than the pattern. But I was like, you know what, just trust the process, go. And I did, and it came out great. So if you just follow what she says to do, you'll work out great. But yeah, really great pattern, and I so much appreciate it. It is already released. It'll be linked down below. Thank you so much, Lindley, for sending this to me. It was so awesome. It made me feel so good that she reached out and offered the pattern. So yeah, go check it out. It's awesome. So I switched back into toadstool mode after that because I wanted to wrap up a few of those, and I had 2 patterns by Cable and Canvas that I had not tried yet. The first one is Layla the Lily Frog, and that's this one here. And this is 2 different yarns. This is Juicy Couture and this is Parfait Chunky, made with a 5.5 millimeter hook. And it's got the little popping action here. This one is cute. I was originally going to make 2 of these guys, but I decided to move on to the other pattern. This felt really small, and I wanted to see what the other one came out like because I wanted to decide, like, do I want to make more or of one or the other or whatnot. So I moved on to Tilda the Toadstool, which is this one here, and also pops. This again, all Parfait Chunky with the exception of this. This is that Bunny Brights that I don't like for anything else, but I think it makes a cute grass. So we've got the little spots on the mushroom. I really like this one. I like the size of this one. Just for a comparison, I feel like this wasn't really that much more work, and you get this nice big guy here compared to this little guy. So I think as I get into coming back to the toadstool area, and if I have time, then I will go ahead and make a few more of this one as opposed to the other one. And then I was gonna shift over and step away from the toadstool area for a little bit, but I saw this one pattern on, I think it was Granny by Nature, I think. I can't remember where I saw it. It was on someone else's YouTube, but it was weighing on my mind, so I had to go look for it. And this is Reggie the Frog by Vasque Boutique. I think it was Granny by Nature, but this is Reggie, and he's so stinking cute. I really like this guy. He's got his little back feet and front feet. And the way they did this is pretty unique. It's completely no-sew. I will admit, when I made him, I accidentally forgot one of his little toes on one of the feet. I don't remember which one it is, but I guess that's a good thing if I can't tell. So I just surface crocheted on there. He's super awesome and I want to make a bunch more of him, but I knew that it was time to step away from the toadstool area because while I love it, there are other areas on my table that need some stuff. So I started to move on to other things. I have something on my hook right now, but I'll show you that in next week's video because we're not there yet. We're going to jump over into the yarn haul because I'm really excited to get this box open and see what this new yarn looks like. All right. I'm sure by now you've already seen that Target now carries yarn. My local Target does not carry any in person. I think some of this is only available in certain states, but I saw this and I had to order it. All right, let's see what we have here. I'm gonna unpack these real quick because this box wants to fall off my table and that could be disastrous. Ooh. Okay, these are awesome. I think I've talked about it before, but I love Bernat Dappled, and that's basically what this looked like to me. So this is called Bernat Blanket Ethereal Stripes, and it comes in several different colorways. I ordered 6. Do I need yarn? No. Did I want this yarn? Yes. Do I need yarn? Yes, actually I do. Is it this yarn? No, but that's okay. So this is the first colorway I got, and this one is called Lagoon. These gorgeous blues and purpley, there's like a greenish blue. I don't know what the camera's picking it up as well. Then we have in the same kind of blue family, Parakeet. This is Parakeet. Just so you can kind of see the difference in tones. I feel like the camera is making them more vibrant than it is, but this is Forest Walk. Gorgeous greens and teals. Yeah, I think the camera adds a bluish tone, but this is called Sunrise. This is called Aurora. And this, which I think is going to be a lot of people's favorites, is called Springtime. The camera is not doing these justice, guys. They're so soft. I cannot wait to use this. I have to think of what I can do with them. I feel like there's dragons in here. Oh, there's so many things you can do with this. This stuff is gorgeous. So I haven't used it yet, but I can already tell I'm going to like it because I love Bernat Dappled. It feels just like Bernat Dappled. It's slightly thinner than the standard blanket yarn from Bernat, just like Dappled is. But yeah, this is awesome. I'm so excited. And I have a Target membership or whatever, so it was already on sale, and then it was an additional 5% for using my Target red card or whatever it's called. So they were like $10 a cake, which is really good. So super excited about that. Just wanted to show you guys what I got. I have an order that I just placed from Premier because I need Goblin and a couple other colors for things that I know that are coming up in my list of makes. I really want to put a Naughty Pony order in, but is it justified to just order green? I don't know. I'm one of those where I gotta order if I'm gonna order, so I gotta figure that out. But anyway, I hope the information on the Munbyn printers was helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below or send me a message on Instagram. I'm happy to help however I can. As always, oh, like our sticker said, like and subscribe because I keep forgetting to ask for that. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.